Justin Spears from the Arizona Daily Star. Simple question, Coach. When you look at Houston, what jumps out to you?
Obviously, they're very well coached, and I know that's a cliche coaches say before they play somebody, but it's absolutely true. They're well drilled, and Coach Sampson's somebody I have a ton of respect for. Grew up in the Pacific Northwest. It's kind of where he start getting his coaching career, got off to a great start there, and I'm just so impressed just with how players do what they're told to do, and the effort they play with. They max out every effort area. They're well drilled on offense. They know the shots they want to take. They know who's taking them, where they're coming from, and then they obviously do an amazing job offensive rebounding. And then defensively, the effort and energy they play with and attention to details, it's almost unmatched.
Jim?
Coach Jim Vertuno with the Associated Press. A few minutes ago, the Arizona athletic director put out a statement regarding the post-game video and some questions whether Bennedict may have touched the TCU dancer. It said Bennedict doesn't recall any contact, but has attempted to be in touch with the woman. I apologize. Do you know if he's indeed spoken with her? What has he told you about the matter, and is there any action the school has yet to take?
I found out about the incident when we got back to Tucson, and we were surprised as anybody. And I'm just going to refer to that statement, from Dave, about the situation.
Coach Jason Shear with Wildcat Authority. I was just wondering, what were your initial impressions when you first reached campus of Ben? What kind of player did you think he was and could become?
Well, obviously, you could see he was really talented, and I had seen Ben, when he was at the NBA Academy in Mexico City, and was just really impressed how far he'd come development-wise, because, when I first saw him, he was kind of an undersized, skinny, athletic, underskilled four-man. And, then somehow between there and, last year he learned how to shoot. And then, when I first met with Ben, I told him, I said, Ben, I think you need to, take a breath, slow yourself down here a little bit, and let's make a 2-year plan. And he's like, I know I am on a 2-year plan. This is the second year. I said, no, 2 years from now. Because I didn't want him to carry the burden this year of feeling like he had to be perfect and play well every game to get to the NBA. So, and I just said, hey, listen, we can make a 2-year plan on development and see how you progress to take a little bit of pressure off you. And if you outperform it, great. And obviously, I think he's well on his way to outperforming my 2-year plan.
Brian Peterson, AZ Desert Swarm. You had mentioned after the TCU game how important you need Azuolas to have a good game and play well, and he didn't in that one and was kind of absent in the second half. What are you expecting from him, and how can he be more involved?
Well, I'm expecting him to play great, and I met with him individually, and obviously I think he would have liked to play more, and he would have liked to play better is the most important thing. And I just told him, I think you're a lot of times young, talented players like Zoo, hit a crossroads in their career. And, you start playing in these really high level, high pressure games, you got to be able to perform. And so I talked to him about that. How are you going to be able to play against, amazing, aggressive athletes in a knockout type situation? And so I think this struggle is good for him. And I think he's going to be a better player for it. And, hopefully it'll start to show tomorrow.
Kerr?
Hi, this is Mark Berman from Fox in Houston. When you watch tape of Tajay Moore, what do you think of him and his athleticism?
Coach Rob on our staff has the scout, and every time he talks about him, he's like, just calls him a freak athlete, and then you just see it, But not only is he a freak athlete, now listen, I haven't watched him enough to see his highlight reel. I just see a good basketball player, and he's playing on ball screens. He's hitting pull-ups, and he's getting to the basket, and just looks like a really good, live-bodied player who's got a great coach, and he's listening to his coach, and he's able to translate, that athleticism and sprinkle some effort in there, and it's a heck of a combination.
Bruce?
Hey, Tommy. Bruce Pasco from the Daily Star. You mentioned last week that, despite being the top seed, you didn't quite have the fans going that first game. The second game, they came out Now you're 3 hours away from Houston. What do you expect tomorrow, and how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, it's great. I mean, it's, sometimes maybe rather than being in a neutral environment, you'd rather be in a little bit more of a hostile environment. So, we're obviously Houston, just with the proximity, is going to have a great crowd. But I think Wildcat Nation will show up. I mean, I think our fan base is excited, and they love being in this situation, and I think they're going to bring it tomorrow.
Jim?
Jim Vertuno with the Associated Press. I'd like to ask you about Kerr. How's his ankle? Will he be ready to go a full game? And if you could just talk a little bit about what it's like to coach him, I think you've spoken about a fine line and trying to deal with him this season.
Kerr's a lot of bark and sometimes a little bite, and obviously you guys see the personality and the antics, and he's an emotional player, and he's having fun is what he's doing. He's easy to coach. I mean, he listens, he gives you eye contact, he's got a high IQ. I haven't had any issues with him, coaching wise all year, and I'll roll with him every day of the week. His ankle continues to make progress, and we still take it on a day by day basis, and hopefully he'll be able to get up and down and practice a little bit today, and hopefully he'll be able to get out in the game and contribute tomorrow.
Here in the front.
Justin Spears from the Arizona Daily Star. When you were living in Eastern Washington and Coach Sampson was at Washington State, did you go to any camps? What was just kind of your connection to him in the program?
No, I think we kind of missed each other. I'm not sure exactly what year Coach, moved down to Oklahoma, from Washington State. But I mean, I know a lot of people that did go to the Cougar Cage Camp. I just wasn't one of them.
Mike Sealski from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Tommy, for those of us who don't watch you guys on a daily basis, put, if you could, Ben's dunk against TCU into some context. How often do you see that in practice? Is that something he actually works on after practice? And what did it do for you guys? And what does it do when he does something like that?
Well, I mean, I think that dunk, you always hope it gives you a little bit of momentum and start to run. And I think that one did, because I think the game was pretty much tied. And then I think, we went on like an 8-0 or 9-0 run after that. Obviously Ben's live body. And but what's funny is, he's one of those guys, I've seen, a lot of guys like this, these right-handed players, but when they go left and they're able to kind of plant that right foot and swing that left foot through and then go up, cock the ball back and lean, they can just really explode off the floor with great force. The only other player that I've coached like that is a guy, back in the day, some of you guys might know a guy named Jeremy Pargo. When he got going left, he could really put that right foot in the ground and take off, and Ben has that explosion as well.
Tommy right here. Colin Harmon with ABC 15 in Phoenix. Obviously, Houston's teams had a fair bit of roster turnover since last year's squad that made a run. But when you get into the second and third weekend of a tournament, is there increased value in having guys that have had experience on this kind of stage?
I'm sure it's a positive thing, But I feel like, our coaching staff has a lot of that experience, and how I've just talked to our guys about it is, what we had to do to win the Pac-12 tournament. We had 3 hard games in 3, consecutive days, and we had to dig deep, and we dealt with an injury, and so I just told guys it's really no different than what you just experienced. That's tournament basketball, and so it's kind of the same thing. And when the ball goes up, there's still 40 minutes. There's going to be 3 refs out there. Let's treat it the same. So that's really been our approach. We haven't talked about this being a big moment or anything like that, and I think we got big game players. And I think they're excited to be here, and I think tomorrow they're going to go out and they're going to let it rip.
Coach Stefan from Journal de Montreal newspaper. Regarding Bennedict, Coach Sampson earlier on in his presser called him a day one starter in the NBA. I'm just wondering if you have the same evaluation made.
Well, I'll let his coach and franchise make that decision next year, and Coach Sampson would know better than I would. He's had experience being on NBA benches, which I never have. So, the main thing for me is, I want Ben to leave Arizona with the habits in the work ethic required to be a good NBA player, because it's not going to be easy. I mean, this year hasn't been easy for Ben. It hasn't been smooth sailing, and nothing ever is. So if he leads with those habits and the character that he already has, I think he's got an opportunity to have a great NBA career.
Tommy, just following up on Kerr, has he practiced fully this week? And considering the way you guys played better with him after that initial part of the first couple halves in the last game, is a chance you might go back to starting him?
He hasn't went full. No, not in practice yet. I mean, he's doing some stuff obviously, and the focus is still on therapy and strengthening that ankle. I honestly haven't even thought about what I'm going to do with the starting lineup tomorrow, and so I mean I'll talk to the staff about it and talk to the team, and we'll make a decision. But I wouldn't read too much into it one way or another.
Coach, I was just wondering, did the TCU's offensive rebounding, their physicality, did that prepare you for what you're going to see against Houston?
Well, you hope so. I mean, now Houston kind of takes it to another level. But I don't know. I think somebody told me they're like third in the country in offensive rebound percentage, which is amazing, and it's all this, and then I didn't even realize this. And then I looked right down below, and Arizona's 15th. So out of 350 teams, they're third, we're 15th. So, I think we're right there. And hey, I mean, listen, they're going to get some offensive rebounds. I mean, that's just what they do, and it's just how the game goes. And we just got to do a great job battle and hopefully limit that number.